Welcome to Road to Billions podcast, the mentality of an entrepreneur. With your host, Moise Bertrand.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It is your host, Moise Bertrand, the Road to Billions podcast. It's been an amazing journey, you guys, and I thank every last one of you guys for checking in and following up about my past health, because I did have a stomach virus I was battling for these last few days, and it was tough, man. It was definitely tough, but I do feel like everything happens the way it needs to happen, because I took some time away and obviously came back with some more information, got some things done, and also got some rest, most importantly. But I do want to get right to it because I haven't dropped any episodes and I do feel bad. So today I'm just going to talk about what are fixed rate loans. Typically, when you're dealing with real estate, you have adjustable rate loans, which of course sounds just like what it says, adjustable. So that's typically 3 to 7 years, and that changes based off the market. Is nothing solidified. I like fixed rate loans because you could budget for it more properly. That's for 30 years. Sometimes they have them for 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. And you just want to see what your monthly mortgage is going to be per month. The only thing that may, of course, that will increase your monthly expenses will be the insurance, because insurance fluctuates goddamn every year. Seems like every month nowadays. And also the tax per year as well. But typically you will have the same amount that you're paying per month. You know, that $749 is not going to change. And that's a very good way of looking at real estate and thinking about it like a cash cow, because over time, that $749 that you have for 30 years, you're renting out that home to someone at $1,500. The following year is $1,550. The following year is $1,570, and so forth, so forth. That $749 is not going any higher nor lower. You get me? So while you're paying down the balance of the home, you're also leveraging the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And typically, the good thing about 30-year fixed mortgage is that you can refinance, as much as you want. You get me? Depending on how much your house how much your house appropriates for, and appraises for, and what equity is left in there. You could definitely refinance a few times. You get me? Before the exempted life, but you refinance and just let you know, you will gain another loan balance. So you won't be able to pay off that loan initially, but that's why you use real estate as a bank to be able to pull those loans off and buy more assets. You get me? But with the fixed rate cost, like I said, fixed rate loan, 30 years, and everybody use different years, 15, 20, like I said. You could also look at it like, well, what happens if the rates that I came in with drop, right? What if I sign this loan for, let's keep it simple, 8%, right? I think the average right now is 7.49. But let us say a cash out refinance, you're going to be paying like 7.8. But let us go ahead and get a 30-year loan at 8%. Now, the market in 3 years might drop down to 6.5%, right? 2.5%. So that 2.5%, you guys, makes a drastic difference in your cash out refinance, and also makes a drastic difference in anything when it compares it to monetary value. You get me? Because that percent is going to make a big difference in whether or not you either bring money to the closing or bring money or be able to pull money out of the home. That 2.5% could either give you $2,000 back, or that $2,000 could be vanished in thin air because they have to pay off that remaining balance. But you coming in at an 8% rate, and now you see the national average 6.5%. You go back to your lender. You're like, hey, listen, I see that national average is 6.5%. I'm at 8.5. I'm at 8%. Can I get it down to 6.5? He's like, yeah, you never refinanced, right? You bought this house. You fixed it up. Of course, you refinanced it to go into the 30-year, but you never pulled no money out. So at this point, you still have some money in the house. Whether or not you did pull money out, like I said, you will know if you have equity. So this is only for those who want to go into refinance into a lower percentage or pulling money out. So when you're going from that 8% to 6.5%, you're going to have something that your lender obviously sends you, that you redo the application, right? Is a refinance application. Typically, you do a refinance in, which is no money out. It's just obviously going through the lender. They take care of their portion in the back end, and then that just decreases your payment. Your refinance goes that percentage goes low, and now you're looking at it like, okay, cool, I saved all this money, but was it worth it? Was it worth it, people? And that's why I typically lean toward the cash out refinance. I don't care if it's 1% that it went down, 1.5%, 2%, hell, 0.5%. I need every dollar. So you going from 8% to 6.5%, not only are you going to cash out refinance because they already have your home value, right? But if you want to make it even sweeter, you'll get appraisal done again, of course, because years went by, and you evaluate your property now in this current market. Whatever that number they give you, you got to look at what is your overall loan balance, and then they're going to give you that percent of that loan, right, of that appraisal. So let's say your house is worth 100 bands. Let's keep it simple. They giving you 75% of that. That's 75,000. Let us say your loan balance is 50,000. That 75,000 pays off that 50,000. Now you get a cash out refinance of $25,000, right? And also you're gonna get a lot more because that rate that went from 8% to 6.5% also plays a very big key in how the lender, like I said, organizes your loan. Because if they're looking at like, well, the market's pretty risky right now, we're going to charge more fees. But if the market is a bit more solid right now, we see interest rates are more favorable for us because more people are able to afford, we may not hit this person with more fees. We may be able to give this person a better deal. You get me? We could probably give this person a 6.3%, because this person has great credit. This house never been touched on equity-wise. So there's many things that you can actually take an advantage of refinancing down. And when you add this 8% 30-year fixed rate loan, you don't have to worry about, like I said, your mortgage going up unless you pull out money out your account. You pull equity out your home, which is called a cash out refinance. Now, you might be like, why would someone want an adjustable rate for 5 to 7 years? There's many reasons why. And one of the reasons why that I heard, because I never did adjustable rate, and I don't want you guys to feel like I'm very strong in that area, but I did consider it at one point because the way the deal was set up, the equity in the house was like go crazy, and then you're supposed to go cash all that money out, but that's a risk. You get me? And I'm gonna tell you why that's a risk. So if you have a mortgage for 5 to 7 years, at the end of the lifetime of the mortgage, whether it's 5, 7 years, you have the loan balance you have to pay now, right? And you could go into a 30-year mortgage from that 5 to 7 year, but those 5 to 7 years, you don't know if your house is gonna be worth as much as you anticipated it with, right? So now you're stuck in between, is this house gonna appreciate high enough to pay off not only the old balance, but also enough to pull me into a 30-year without me having to bring money back to the closing. You get me? So if your house didn't appreciate much and you still got a high loan balance on the house, and then you eventually try to refinance it, and the house isn't, you obviously trying to refinance it going to a 30-year, or you're looking to pay that off in 5 to 7 years, you got to ask yourself, did this house appreciate much? Is it going to appreciate much? Do you really rely on the market that we're in today for it to appreciate much? And people typically study trends, 5, 7 years. They're like, okay, cool, I bought it for 100. 3 years is going to be worth 165. 4 years is going to be worth 210. 5 years is going to be worth 295. And then, you owe probably like 80 bands on that house. You get me? Because you put like 15% down, so you owe like 80 bands. And then that 265, you're going to get an appraisal done if it really is 265, and they're going to give you a percentage of that. But that's always risky because if that house doesn't appreciate that much, it cannot pay off that old loan balance that you already purchased on that home. So you going from a 7-year mortgage going to a 30-year, they're going to ask you how much this house appreciated for. You don't know, we're going to get appraisal done regardless. Cool. Because they always going to ask you how much you think this house is worth now. You're going to tell them the highest number, but they want to back it up during appraisal. And then that is where we call it very risky because the market adjustable rate could go from, at the time you bought the house, could have been 5%, 7%. You locked it in for 7 years. Now the rate is like 9%. You get me? So now you're like, fuck. You get me? So now you have to go to that 9% rate because that's the national average and isn't adjustable. So you could ride the wave. You could either go higher in rates or you go lower in rates. You get me? It's nothing locked in because some people want to get locked in at the lowest rate and they're betting on that rate to stay. And then some people come in at adjustable rates at high-ass interest rates, and then they betting on it to go lower because they want to refinance into the lower into the lower percentage, meaning they're getting more money back. But like I said, that's like the stock market. It goes up and goes down. And for you to assume that your house is just going to appreciate just based off the market research, I would just say it's highly amateur. You get me? All the great people I know, 30-year loans. If we're going to refinance into a lower percentage, we could refinance. But at least we're locked in for 30 years just in case this interest rates want to spike up out of nowhere or the housing market crash because interest rates are outrageous. You get me? So everybody has a kum de ka on their solution. You get me? Everybody feels like their way is the best way. And I just feel like you just got to run the deal in your way, in your best way possible. I solidify all my deals with 30-year loans. I don't try to play around with that 5 to 7 year. I don't got time to be running around thinking that, damn, this house didn't appreciate shit. Damn, this, you feel me? It's just a lot that goes into that. I would rather all my mentees go into a 30-year fixed, because fixed means it's not changing. You get me? And you changing your own loan is only refinancing down. You refinancing down or pulling money out. That's the only way you're going to change your loan. And once you don't touch no money out your house, that mortgage doesn't change. Once you don't refinance into a higher loan to pull out more money, that money does change. You get me? But if you pull money out, I think I said it reverse, but if you pull money out, your mortgage changes. If you don't, it stays the same. And you just want to see exactly what your plans of actions is. If you live in this house, of course, I would recommend you just thinking thoroughly and carefully about pulling money out, because that's not money for you to fuck around and blow. That's money for you to actually take care of people, take care of responsibilities, and, successfully buy more assets to take off, to produce more income, residuals. So many people, they don't really know where their exit strategy is. And that's why I let people know, just do a 30-year, because you don't know where you're going to be at in 5, 10 years. You don't know how this economy is going to be at in a few years. You don't know where your financial gain is going to be at. You might get rich, you feel me, in those 5 to 7 years. And you may not want to spend all that money to pay off the loan balance. So you may not want to go through this damn refinance process again. And it's just a lot. You get me? And you may just have that 30-year loan. And if you need to pull money out, you have it. You got it right there. You could adjust to it. You get me? You don't really have to assume what the market is calling for, because you already have your rate locked in. And there's different scenarios for every deal. I'm not going to say that every deal is a 30-year fix, because you might just want to get in and get out. I don't know. I never met no one who has, like I said, an adjustable loan, but that might be something that works for you. I'm not saying what works for me will work for you. I'm not saying what works for you will work for me. And it's evident that everybody uses the same formula. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm not trying to say what you are doing may cause you problems in the future or may make you go bankrupt. But what I could say is, don't reinvent the wheel. I think I even spoke about that in one of my other episodes. Don't reinvent the wheel, bro. Just recreate it. You get me? Just be creative with it. You get me? If someone's making pretzels, right? You go add cinnamon. Now you have cinnamon pretzels. Now people are buying your pretzels, even though it's the same pretzel. You didn't change the foundation of the pretzel. You just added your creativity to it. And that could be just as simple as refinancing out in 10 years instead of refinancing out the first day you get the home or the first year. Or you might refinance out in 3 years when someone refinances out 6 months later. So everybody has a different scenario and different solution, you get me, to their ways. But what I could just say is, make sure you always read upon every article, every mentor that you could come in contact with. Ask as many questions as possible, because the problem with people nowadays is they don't like asking questions. They feel like they know it all. They feel like they go online and watch somebody talk about it all day on YouTube or Instagram and whatever they want to just call social media lecturing and teaching. These people are not teaching you the real esoteric information that I'm giving you guys. And that information is pretty much not found on the internet, because people don't really know how to put it out there, let alone give away the secrets. But it isn't no secret. It's all about this experience and doing the shit over and over again and fucking up and realizing that the only way you're going to learn is through experience. No one can really teach you how to get around things unless you experience it for yourself. And get me? Because what I teach my mentees is 30-year fixed rate loan. You go ahead and get an adjustable rate loan. I never told you to do that. So you doing that, you're putting yourself at a gamble. You're telling yourself, well, I'll ride the wave of the interest rates. I'm okay with my payments going up and down. I'm okay. I don't know why you would want to do that. You get me? I never met anyone who, like I mentioned, has that type of loan. But my focus is on 30-year fixed rate loans. It's very good for anybody who doesn't want to pretty much calculate too much of their numbers per month, see where profit's going to go, profit's going to be lost. You just want to see exactly what you're going to be making for those 12 months straight. You know your rent, you know how much you rent it out for, you know with the mortgage, you know your expenses. Boom, it's very calculated. Adjustable, you can't calculate it. It fluctuates per month. fluctuates per year, fluctuates based off the rates that's going on in the current economy. So once again, I appreciate you guys for listening to Road to Billions podcast. Make sure you buy homes that you could afford. I hear people all the time say they want to buy duplexes, triplexes, quads, apartments, and that's great. You get me? That's very great. But start off with something that you can handle. Because if I started off with something so big as that, I'm not going to say I didn't have the experience or wouldn't have the experience. All I would say is the mental capacity to understand what could go wrong, what could go right. You get me? Am I fortunate enough to be in those predicaments to learn? Yes, I'm fortunate enough. That's why I'm able to teach you guys about my experiences. Because if I just jumped into real estate thinking that I'm going to do what everybody else is doing, I could have been on a whole different trajectory that could have made me fuck up my whole life. But what I did that was comfortable with me was I listened and I applied. And I just did the same thing over and over and over and over again. I don't try to do nothing different. I don't try to add no glamour to my stilo. You feel me? I just get in, get the rehab done, move on to the next house. And I try to reiterate that to people. Don't try to reinvent no wheel. Don't try to be no cool guy. Don't try to be no cool girl. Just do what you are told. And then at the end of the day, once you get the basics down, then you can start adding a little glam to it, a little bit more creativity, more finesse to it. But at the end of the day, learn the foundations, learn the rules, learn the credibility of everybody teaching, of everybody you're learning from, learn the market, and most importantly, have fun and believe in yourself. So once again, I appreciate you guys for listening to Road to Billions podcast. It's been an amazing journey. Make sure you check out my other episodes as well, and have a great rest of the day.